Great to see you all here in the session about video assessment and how you are able to accelerate your screening with video. My name is Sebastian Niewöhner, and I want to start this off with a rather personal note. So back in 2016, I actually founded a company all around video recruiting, video interviewing, and back then it was very tough for us to get even 500 candidates a month completing a video interview. We joined Phenom about 2 years ago, and just last year, we had over 2 million completed video assessments or video interviews, which really shows how this technology and how this product within the hiring process is really adapted now and helps organizations to hire candidates much faster and in a more authentic impression. And for today's session, I'm very excited to have Adam with me, who is program manager for TA at ScribeAmerica, to also show you and tell you about the success that ScribeAmerica had with video assessment. And that being said, Adam will tell you a bit about ScribeAmerica and the use cases that they implemented.
Thanks, Sebastian. So Sebastian said, my name is Adam. I'm the program manager with ScribeAmerica. I've been with the company a little over 11 years now. I started working with Phenom about a year ago, near the middle to end of our implementation. We really started to focus on the video assessment around August, so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. For those of you who don't know what ScribeAmerica is, we are the nation's largest medical scribe company. We are located in all 50 states, plus Canada and Australia. In addition to that, we are a winner of the Forbes Best Midsize Employer many years in a row now. We were also ranked number 3 in women's healthcare, number 5 in absent healthcare, and number 6 in underrepresented groups in healthcare on Handshake. And we also just recently won the Handshake's top employer, couldn't remember what it was called, the top employer for 2023. So what that means is that we are one of the best people to represent Generation Z. There were 750,000 employers who were up for this, and we were out of 180 companies who actually won. So been around for a while. This is our 20th year as a company. Very excited to be here and present about it. The way that our company works is we're hiring around 2,000 people per month. We have a staff of around 15,000 people across the country, and we experience about 100% turnover every year because of the way that our model works as a company. So we're roughly hiring around 2,000 people to 2,500 people per month. Our TA department is structured. There are 2 advisors in each region. We have 4 regions of the company. Those advisors are really responsible for doing the recruiting, finding events, and working with career services. And our job is really to get the candidates into Phenom. What's unique about us is that once those candidates are in Phenom, the TA department is no longer involved, and it's handed off to our operations team. The operations team is then the ones who are actually looking at the candidates, reviewing the information, scheduling the interviews, and they're the ones making the decisions. Some of the interview problems that we had and where we were looking at Phenom, one of the biggest ones was low quality. So like we said, we're doing 2,000 interviews per month, and what we found is that spending a lot of time doing admin work to get on these interviews to find out the candidates weren't really qualified, or that they really didn't understand what they were applying for. I'm sure we can all identify with it. We have candidates who will come in, they'll use a quick apply, they don't really read the job description until you get on a call with them, then you find out that they're not really interested. So that was one of the biggest things that we were wasting admin time on, is we were scheduling a lot of phone screenings and interviews, taking up 15 to 30 minutes of our calendar day, just to find out a few minutes in that that candidate wasn't gonna be a viable candidate. We also, like everyone else, have a very high no-show rate. So our no-show rate is currently around 25%. So that does take a lot of our admin time as well. We also had very inefficient phone screening. So the team of 40 people who were doing the interviews would have to cold call these people, try to coordinate getting on a phone call, again, finding out that they're not the best fit. And then there was no way to communicate what was going on back and forth between them, and it was handwritten notes. Looking back at March of 2022, before we implemented Phenom, we were spending roughly 225,000 minutes across 40 people focused solely on screening and interviewing. In March, we had 7,500 candidates, so that equates to around 15 to 30 minutes per session, so that's 225,000 minutes for that month. So why Phenom? We implemented Phenom because we as a company realized we needed to push what we were doing for candidates. And what we found is that there was no way for the candidate to really be able to engage with us. They would go to the page, find the job, they would apply, and that would be where it ended. We didn't have a career site for these candidates to be able to see, to talk more about the company, to learn about who we were. We didn't have any of the cool tools like the AI chatbot. We didn't have blogs. There was nothing for us to engage these candidates with. They were going to a site that was basically made for new vendors and new clients, but it wasn't made for the candidate. With Phenom, there was a lot of cool tools that we were excited about getting, one of them being the video assessment, because it was a big game changer for our company.
Thank you, Adam. And what Adam was just informing you about is a problem that most of the organizations today have. You get a lot of applicants, you get a lot of leads, but it's very difficult to spot your top talents in this pool of very generic applicants. And the reasons for this are fairly simple. Written job applications are highly impersonal. They don't give you the complete picture, and also for candidates, it's actually quite time-consuming. If you ask a candidate who likes to write a cover letter or like provide a proper resume, nobody will give you a clear yes. On the other side, OpenAI and GPT will make this problem even worse. The cover letter is now written in 60 seconds in a perfect manner, and you have no idea when you read this if this person actually wrote it himself or someone else did it or the technology did it. So you don't have an impression who is really applying in at my organization. On the other side, phone screens, there's a lot of scheduling effort that is needed to kind of get all these interviews scheduled. They're not transparent. It's always just one person actually running this conversation, and there's no collaboration happening afterwards. And based off all this information, you also get a lot of low quality candidates that don't show up to the interview later on. And that's especially important for high volume positions where no-show rates of 25–30% are quite common. And what used to be acceptable, that you as an organization, you have a very interview-driven process where it's okay to run a lot of phone screens and a lot of interviews, is changing into a process that requires automation and speed, because otherwise your top talents or your top candidates in the pipeline getting hired by someone else. And because of this, video assessment is a perfect tool to really get an authentic first impression of all your candidates and identify the top talents a day or two after the initial application. And to actually show you how this works, we will dive directly into a quick demo, which will kind of in 3 steps explain you how easy it is to get that first impression from your candidates. So it all starts actually with defining the right questions. And because defining the right questions is fairly difficult if you have never done it before, our new AI-based question generator will actually help you with this. By just defining what are the criteria that you are looking for, and we have an example here of a customer service representative, you just describe, I need this skill set and this is a position. Our AI-based question generator will automatically help you recruiters to get the perfect questions to ask for the video assessment. I can select the 2 or 3 I want, and this does include video questions, but also multiple choice and text questions. Very important, the video assessment is not only the video piece, you can have written text questions, you can have multiple choice questions, and thereby really getting a perfect picture of your candidates. Once the questions are added to the questionnaire, there's one very important ingredient to a great candidate experience. Because you ask your candidate to create a video, it's quite a positive aspect if you as an organization also add a personalized intro video, closing video, and you can also present the questions itself via video. So the hiring team, the recruiters can really personalize and humanize the entire experience, and it will significantly increase the conversion rate and the acceptance rate of your candidates. And this so-called impersonal process really becomes human and is something that candidates really enjoy to do. After the questionnaire is created, it's as easy as selecting the candidates that you want to invite and select invite video assessment. Based on your candidate's profile and the jobs that you are hiring for, you can either invite them via email or via SMS, and candidates are also automatically reminded in case they don't do it in the first couple of days. What Adam will also tell in a short second, you can either manually invite your candidates, but there's powerful automations in the background where you can just say based on a certain hiring status or whatever criteria you have in mind, you automatically invite your candidates to the video assessment. We have one other customer who set up an automation recipe that 6 hours after the candidates applied and they have a certain fit score, they will automatically be invited to a video assessment. So it looks actually that someone looked at the candidate's profile, 6 hours later they invite them, and they have great success with this kind of solution to get this first impression instead of running a phone screen. Once the candidate receives the invitation, the candidate experience is about to start. And here in the candidate lobby, which was normally branded in your organization's branding, the candidate gets to see the introduction video, they can practice, and they have everything they need at a central place to really be prepared for the video interview. Once they start, they get to see I have to answer 2 video questions and 1 multiple choice question, and the video question itself is fairly simple. The candidate gets to see the question for the very first time. They have, whatever you decide, 45, 60, 90 seconds to prepare, and then another 60 seconds or 90 seconds to actually answer these questions. And you are completely flexible in how you want to set this up. We primarily recommend to give the candidate a couple of retakes, because it might be happening that they are not satisfied with the very first attempt, but you will really get that powerful personal impression that you normally only get after 5 to 10 minutes in a real job interview. The candidate completed all the questions and is immediately submitting this assessment, which takes him about 5 to 10 minutes. So there's no need for a 30-minute phone screen, and the candidate can actually take this whenever he or she wants to do it. Once the assessment is submitted, in CRM, the recruiters will immediately notify it and can take an evaluation or can take a look at this assessment. They evaluate this candidate and provide their first feedback. But here the collaboration aspect is really, really important. I, as a recruiter, can provide the feedback here. And that's what happened with the phone screen. But with a click of a button, I can actually forward this video interview to all my hiring managers or additional interviewers to get additional feedback. And this way, hiring really becomes collaborative. And you, together as an organization, decide who are the ones that we really want to invite to the more expensive and time-consuming interviews that you are going to run. And all this feedback is then also directly visible in the CRM, and the decision is made that this candidate is a perfect fit, let's invite them. That was all about the video assessment demo, and as you saw, it's very easy to implement, it's very easy to use, and this will really help you to automate everything from the very first moment of the application until the decision is made who are the ones that we invite to the actual interviews. And the benefits, I explained them, but I think it's very exciting to see what Adam and ScribeAmerica had, what kind of success they had in the past. And therefore, I'm bringing Adam back on stage to tell about the success of video assessment being used at ScribeAmerica.
Perfect, thank you. So we as a company actually set up our video assessment a little bit different than every other company. What happens for us is that when a candidate actually applies, the minute they submit their application, they're taken directly to the landing page to complete the video assessment. With that, we're finding that the candidates are going to take it more reliably and quicker, as opposed to us waiting for them to do it. If the candidate does click out of the video assessment, they're automatically sent an email reminding them to do it, and then that way we can still try to get them to do it. What happens, what we find is a lot of times candidates, when they submit the application, aren't necessarily prepared to do it right then and there. They want to get somewhere quieter, and that's something that we can understand. So that's where we want them to do it right then and there, but if they can't, we have those reminders built in automatically.
And when we started this project together back in August, or June, July, because in August we went live, Adam and the team were really asking themselves a couple of questions because they were completely new to video assessment, as probably a lot of you are. And the questions that we defined in the beginning is, one of them is, does video assessment really help you to improve your decision making? And now Adam will explain you with like actual data how this
So yes, it actually does help us improve our decision. So you can see up here, since August, we've had 30,000 people who've completed the video assessment. That is a number we did not think was going to be possible. This is something, like we said, that was very new for our company. We've always done it the old-fashioned way. You get on the phone call, you would go and meet with them. But since August, 30,000 of our candidates have actually completed that. Because of that, we've actually been able to do 1/3 less of the interviews that we would normally have to do because we're able to find out quicker about these candidates.
And I think just the number 1/3 less interviews being scheduled, like real interviews being scheduled with candidates, that's a big time saver and a big cost saver for organizations. And the second question, Adam, does it really help to increase your time to hire?
So it does help to decrease our time to hire as well. So 80% of the candidates are completing the video assessment within 1 day of receiving it. That's where a lot of them are trying to do it right then and there versus we also send that automation out. So this is allowing us to make faster hiring decisions. The other thing that our company is using that's unique is that what we've been using for the video assessments in the pilot phase was what we were finding was the candidates who actually took the time to complete the assessment were our more genuine candidates. So those are the ones that we found they're actually interested in the role, they've read about it, they do want to come work for us. So it allows us to make these decisions quicker because we can easily vet the candidates who are completing it and then look at those as opposed to sifting through profiles that aren't.
And also, adding here, I think getting 80% of the candidates completing it after 1 day is just significant. And you really get the first impression of a real job interview with this video assessment, and then you can make much faster hiring decisions further down the road. And the last question, which I think is highly important for all of you here, and that's the question that we always get from new customers and prospects, are candidates actually taking the video assessment, and is it something that they want to use? And I mentioned the number 2 million, but Adam also has some great insights into this.
So yes, candidates are actually taking it. 40% of our candidates actually took the assessment, so that's a pretty good conversion rate. We are really looking to get to the goal of 50 to 60%, and some of the advancements that are going to be coming to this technology that we're going to talk about here in a second is what we're going to really use to help get us to that conversion rate.
And one important thing to note here as well. Some of you might now think, okay, 50%, 60%, is that really that powerful? We are looking at a high volume position here, where you get thousands and thousands of candidates applying every day or every week. And as Adam said, there's a high no-show rate in job interviews at the moment. With the video assessment, you really get the candidates that want to work for your organization and that really take the time to submit an application that is powerful. And that's why this number is very, very good for a high volume position, and it will help you to really identify the top candidates early. And as Adam said, we are aiming to the 50 to 60%, and there were some very exciting product launches that ScribeAmerica is going to implement now, and Adam, happy to.
So yes, we are very excited. There's been a lot of updates that have come out in the past couple of weeks that we are really starting to implement and roll out with. One of them is being the ability to remind candidates to complete the assessment. Previously, we weren't able to send them reminders. They would get that one email that would tell them to please do it, and that's where it would end. Now we have the ability to have candidates get emails and text messages before it expires, so that way they can be reminded to go and do it. So what will happen is the candidates will get taken to that page. If they don't do it, it will get the email. Then it will start the countdown. They'll have 7 days to do the video assessment. If they don't complete it 4 days before it's supposed to expire, they can get either an email or a text reminding them, hey, please go in and complete this so that we could try to get them to convert.
Next to the text reminders, which are very important, or text invitations, which are very important for high volume positions, also the video introduction that we just showed on the screen, they are live for a couple of months, but ScribeAmerica is going to implement them now, which will really help. And this personal impression of the candidates and that humanized process is super important for the candidate experience. And in addition to this, a couple of enhancements that are also coming to this solution. Currently it's called video assessment, but it's really a tool that helps you to automate the entire interview process. So we are going to add audio interviews or audio questions. And in case some of you might think candidates are not willing to really take a video, the audio assessment is a perfect companion for you. In addition, we mentioned the multiple choice and text questions. There will be automations and automated scoring of these questions. So whatever you decide in the questionnaire, once the candidate completed this interview, this automated interview, you have all the insights you need to define who is coming next into our interview round. And that's all that we wanted to explain you today, and the success story of ScribeAmerica that we wanted to mention. And now let's open it up for any questions that we might have in the audience.
I'm sorry, what's the question? Passive candidates? So those are the ones that we find aren't doing the video assessment, so we'll try to engage with them, and if they don't wind up completing it, then we typically will just move them out of our system. We have a lot of people that will come through. We use Indeed, so we use Indeed Quick Apply. So we find a lot of people will go through, they'll click submit the application, but they didn't actually read the job.
Have you had much feedback from candidates on their opinions of an inline video assessment versus asking for it after the fact?
So we've gotten a pretty good response from the candidates about the video assessment. There have been some hesitancies because it's so new in this world, but I do think it's becoming a little bit more common for this to be something that is seen. That's why with some of the things on the roadmap, what we're really looking to do as well is to, as we've heard from Phenom, keep the human in the loop. So that's why we're looking to have these intro and exit videos be recorded by the person who's going to actually be conducting the possible future interview. So that way the candidate actually has a face to put that to. Also having them record the interview questions for the candidate, so that way it does feel like they're actually interacting with a human and not just a face that doesn't exist.
But that's generally a great question, and just some insights to share here as well. All the candidates that take the video assessment are actually asked afterwards for feedback and can provide a rating from 1 to 5 stars. And the average rating that our customers get is about 4.6 out of 5, which really shows this is like once candidates really get into it, they love it, and they would not go back the old way to do a phone screen or to take a long application process, right? And this feedback is really tremendous that we get from candidates, and something that will really show, or that really shows how adopted this functionality is currently in the hiring process as well.
I'll say there's someone over there with the mic.
Yeah, just really quick. It's more on the recruiter side. How do they manage watching all the videos to see what this feedback is in their daily, recruiting flow? Because I know we've looked at video before, and that was one of our concerns. Was we get just this massive ton of videos every day. Now we're taking that recruiter off the actual interview desk because they're having to audit or go through all of those. So how do you manage that?
Yeah, so that's a good question, and that's part of what the future roadmap for us is as well, is what we're really hoping to be able to pilot is that we don't have to actually do interviews at all anymore. With all of the advancements coming, the ability to have the knockout questions, the audio responses, and the video responses, future goal is really that when the candidate applies, they're gonna go through all of the questions that we would need, so that way the interviewer just has to watch these video assessments, and then they can make those offers right off of there. Right now, when they're doing is they're scheduling the interview and then they'll go through and watch the video just so they can get it as a precursor for who's going in. But with all the advancements that we're gonna be rolling out here, that's what our future goal would be is all of the interviews are just these video assessments so that we can make hires a lot quicker.
And maybe to add here, I think like it's most common to have like 3-4 questions asked via video in the questionnaire. And if those are like 45 seconds long, it takes a recruiter 2 to 3 minutes to have a look at those. And maybe even after the first video, they can make a decision, say, okay, that's not a good fit. If you schedule a phone screen and you're actually on a 15 to 30 minute call, you can watch a lot of video interviews instead of going on one of these phone screens, which you might have the decision after a minute that this is not a fit, but you have to stay on the call for 15 to 30 minutes because otherwise you have a bad candidate experience and it will show up on any kind of external ranking board.
Hey, Adam. So I know that this example is primarily for your high volume roles. I'm curious, as ScribeAmerica, I'm sure like every other company has to hire software engineers and more Zone 3, Zone 4 roles. I'm curious how this video assessment works for more of your skilled roles, if you guys rolled it out to that.
So we have not rolled this out to there. Our company is mainly 95% entry-level medical scribe, so there's really only around 5% of our hires that are more our corporate roles. So we don't really have a lot of those that ever open up. I think right now we maybe are hiring for 5 corporate roles at the moment. So we haven't rolled it out to that. Future would be able to do that with these advancements. That's what we're hoping for, especially with the AI being able to generate questions specifically for that role. So as we go on and continue to innovate this, I think it would be something we would want to push out. But right now we're just focused on our bread and butter, which is the scribes.
But that's a great question. And even though we have that best practice here in case of a high volume position, 80% of our customers that use video assessment are actually hiring for Zone 4 and 5. And there's a lot of success in this. And one example is a large manufacturing company that uses video assessment across 33 countries and 5 continents, right? And this really helps to also get personal impressions of candidates across time zones, and the recruiter can watch it whenever they want, the candidate can take it whenever they want. So that's a perfect example. And it certainly depends on the job. If you don't have a lot of candidates for a certain position, video assessment is not the right tool. But for any position where it's about the personality, the culture fit, the team fit, this makes perfect sense. And another perfect example is university recruiting, young talent recruiting. We have one organization that I think they invited in 2 months another 10,000 candidates. And believe it or not, 95% of all these young students completed the video assessment. That's a tremendous conversion rate. And Adam and ScribeAmerica, they got the award for perfect recruiting for Gen Z, right? Video assessment is a perfect tool for Gen Zs.
Hi there. Quick question. In regards to internal, the best practices, any tips or tricks in regards to the training or the adoption that you utilized for your team?
So internally, it was really about deciding who was the key stakeholders to making those decisions. We do have some of our vendors and clients who we work in hospitals, so sometimes it might be the HR of the facility would want to see it, sometimes the medical director might want to see it. So it's really on a case-by-case basis for each location how we handle it. But internally, all of our team that has access to the platform will go in. Anybody that needs to make the decisions will review it. One of the things is that you are able to forward the video, but you would have to give them access to the hiring manager platform, so you don't have to use an actual seat to be able to get people in, so they can't get the free hiring manager platform to be able to go in and view those. So you really have the ability to control who is going to see it to make those types of decisions.
So my question is, do you have any experience with using this with multiple languages, for example? Can you talk about that?
So that is a great question. It is something that we are currently working through, and I talked to Sebastian about that a few times this weekend. We are really looking to hire a lot of Spanish-speaking scribes. We have not done anything with it yet, but I know with the advancements that are coming with the AI technology, the ability to do the transcripts and things like that, we are looking to have it where the candidates can do things in Spanish so that we can see if they actually do speak it. I know there was a couple other things that we talked about if you want to talk about as well.
And the example I showed, or I explained before with the organization that hires across 33 different countries is a good one here. So the questionnaires can be automatically translated in different languages. And depending on the language in which the candidate applied in, the video assessment is directly sent out in this respective language. And the candidate can then take these questions either in English or in Spanish or in Portuguese. In addition to this, video assessment is a perfect tool to actually figure out does the person actually speak the language? So you can have 2 questions in English, and then the third question is, please explain in French, or please answer this question in French. And a lot of people say in the CV, I'm a perfect fluent speaker, right? But you will figure out immediately that this is a lie, and you don't have to do anything further on with this candidate. But that's the perfect use case as well to figure out, is the CV actually true?
And that's why we're looking to roll it out, is that we've got a lot of candidates where we need them to be able to go in and actually understand the Spanish that's being spoke. They might have to actually write the Spanish. And we find a lot of people will say, yeah, I can fluently speak it, but then we're like, okay, what do you know? And they'll say, oh, I can understand some of it. So that's where we're looking to really roll this out, so that way we can have them do stuff in Spanish in a recorded interview, but it will be translated so that the people on our team who don't speak Spanish can still understand what was being said and make sure it makes sense.
Perfect. Thank you for all the great questions. And if there's high interest in actually applying this also in your organization, you can either come to us directly or reach out to your account manager. And we are happy to give you a personalized demo and really figure out how can video assessment be applied in your organization.